So let us start the session.
Yep.
Yeah. So so to start with, can you explain our listener what EDA tools are and why they are critical in semiconductor design?
So in easiest term, EDA tool is is a specialized software to basically automate the whole semiconductor design flow, right? As we know, semiconductor design is a very complex process, right? It's a very complex process, and that's why we do a lot of automation to help designers to achieve their tasks. That is what in easiest term EDA tools is. Now, right from simulation till manufacturing, EDA tools are used. It's a very deep, what you say, is a very deep software stack. Okay, verification has its own tool, the routing and has its own tool. There are many tools. It's a very deep software stack to automate the overall design process, right from simulation till semiconductor manufacturing. I am sure anybody in semiconductor industry would have. Is there anyone who says that he is not aware of EDA? I'm just curious to know, in case anybody is not aware about EDA. Anybody from semiconductor domain should know, but yeah, that's okay. But as I said, it is a set of software tools to automate the whole semiconductor design process. That's the simplest definition of EDA tools.
Yeah. So in your view, where does Bharat currently stand in terms of EDA capability and ecosystem?
I mean, no, this is a loaded question because when it comes to EDA tools, we do have EDA tools. I mean, we are at least at this moment when we are speaking, we are not sanctioned for EDA tools the way US sanctioned EDA tools to China. I mean, but no guarantee that the way things are going, there's no guarantee that we will not be under that sanction list. Okay. So as far as EDA tools availability is concerned, as of now we have access to it. Okay. But all of those vendors are outside Bharat. I mean, it's a dominated by Cadence, Synopsys, and Siemens EDA. It used to be Mentor Graphics earlier, recently got acquired by Siemens. Okay. So it is all dominated by West. Now, having said that, do we have our own EDA landscape, the Bharat specific landscape? Answer is no. Though people are trying open source tools to automate their semiconductor designs, but it has just started. But I think it requires much more efforts. Rather, I would say, unfortunately, it looks like, I mean, that even the ISM is not focusing on EDA. So some days back, this one conference happened, right? What was that name? Semicon happened, right? And the people who were registering it, they were supposed to tell to the industry, I mean, to which industry they belong. The EDA was not even an option there. So it is quite
Right.
surprising. It is quite surprising that why EDA is not on the radar. And okay, having said, so somebody will say that I mean, forget about Bharat. Even USA and Europe, who has this EDA company stationed with them, they are also exploring the possibility of open source EDA for various reasons. Not only, I mean, getting into sanctions or getting into technological hegemony is not the only reason to go for open source EDA, but there are other reasons also, and those are the reasons like cost effectiveness, reasons like secrecy and secrecy in the programs like space, nuclear, and defense. You need secrecy, right? So there are many more reasons that we can keep over the course of this call. But besides technological hegemony, there are other reasons also. And for the same reasons, even US and Europe is also exploring open source EDA. In fact, we already have a paper with us which talks about the roadmap for open source EDA in Europe. Okay, so that's how it is. I mean, where we stand, do we have tools access? Yes, we have, but do we have full control over that accessibility? The answer is no.
Yeah. So, the US dominates the global EDA industry with a handful of companies. So, what lessons can Bharat learn from their ecosystem?
See, okay. So, I mean, I will maybe Puniji is here. I mean, he also needs to this one. But see, let me tell you, I feel the answer to this question is more philosophical than technical. See how US became US. Okay, so what they did, they provided a wonderful ecosystem to attract the best talent from the world, right? I mean, if you look at the demography of technological landscape of US, it is dominated by Chinese and Indians, isn't it? I mean, the majority of the technological manpower which is there in US is coming from USA, is coming from India and China. Okay, uh, well, see, the thing is, what we need to learn is that how to say that if see self-reliance. See, the thing is, in today's very complex diplomatic world, okay, uh, so there is, in the international diplomacy, there is only one rule which works, which says that there are no permanent friends or enemies, there are only permanent interests. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
simple rule which works in international diplomacy. Now when you talk about your permanent interest, how you will safeguard your permanent interest? You can only safeguard your permanent interest when you have that technological prowess. Okay, now, there was a time when the talent of India felt that India as a country is not providing that entrepreneur, opportunities. Uh, and as we know, when we started after independence, we were a socialist economy. I mean, we were not really encouraging entrepreneurship. You know, the word profit was considered to be a cuss word. I mean, there are many anecdotes on that. I will not go into that. But for our governments to begin with, the profit word was a cuss word. Okay, so basically that hindered entrepreneurship, and that's when the talent from India thought that US is a country of opportunities. They went, and actually, to a great extent, it has worked for them at least. I mean, they went into research. They did. I mean, see, sometimes it hurts. The same Indians who have studied here, when they could not do anything, or I mean, they find US as a land of opportunity where they feel they can be successful, and they feel that they cannot be that successful in India. To a great extent, it was true. I will not deny it because of the bureaucracy, because of our mindsets, actually, that entrepreneurship was not, the opportunities were not given. They went there, right? Uh, but now, are things improving? Things are improving. Are they perfect? No, they are not perfect. I will not say that India is still things in India, but at the end of the day, the question arises: who will make it perfect? Right? Who will make it perfect? It is not an American who will come to India and make it perfect, right? It is the Indians only who will make it perfect. Okay, please mind, I am not saying things are perfect. I'm conceding things are imperfect, right?
Yeah.
But I have a very simple question to the participants here. We are living in an independent country, right? The people who went to gallows to get us this independence, did they see independence? Answer is no. They went to gallows even before seeing the independence, right? Now, if they would have also thought the same way, that what is in it for me, we would not have been living in an independent country. I hope all of us will agree with that, right? So 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 at the end of at the end of the day, it is only us
एक्चुअली
who
मेरे
will
डॉक्टर ने
who
मना किया
will
है,
correct it.
मुझे ईयर
Okay,
प्रॉब्लम है, तो थोड़ी देर में बंद कर
uh,
दूंगी मैं.
that's where I will end. I mean, I will let other people, maybe Puniji will add to it. That's the thing. That's why I said the answer to your question is more philosophical than technical. Okay, at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it is your convictions. Yeah, at the end of the day, it is your convictions. What make you happy, right? I will give you one example. Let us say there is an Indian scientist who is working in NASA, and there is an Indian scientist who is working in ISRO. If both of them come in front of me, whom do you think we should give more respect? Right? I'm not saying ISRO, not because it is an Indian. It is just because the circumstances under which an ISRO scientist work, and must have seen this picture called Mangalayan, right? That picture is a very good example. So the circumstances under which an Indian scientist work and the circumstances under which a NASA scientist work, there's a hell of a lot difference. And even with those constraints, even with those deficiencies, if they are able to achieve something, they ought to be given more respect, right? Okay,
Right.
so yeah, so and see what is happening. I mean, again, I'm not of the view that going abroad is a sin. Please mind that I am not at all saying this. Okay, what matters is your mindset. With what mindset you do it. Okay,
Right.
doesn't matter then wherever you are living, whether you are living in US, Europe, India, wherever. I mean, it does. Now, so if you have a negative mindset and you are living in India, all that also doesn't help, right? But if you have a positive mindset, if you have a mindset to achieve something more than your in spirituality, what we call as four levels of spirit, spirituality called body, mind, intellect, and spirit, right? Till the time you are trying to rise that level, doesn't matter wherever you are, it should be okay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I will stop, but I will let others also to speak and share their views. Maybe Puniji or someone.
All right, I'd like to chip in a little bit. So the way I see it, um, till now, as far as hardware is concerned, we didn't have, like, we had FPGA, but that was more like a processor or something. Except for that, there was not any other application in it. As a result, there is not even much application lasting.
Puniji, your voice somehow is it audible to others clearly
No,
or?
no, no, not my side.
Yeah, yeah, Puniji, I think.
Let me check.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay, am I audible now?
yeah. It's better. Very well. Yeah, yeah, it's better.
All right. So what I wanted to say is, like when it comes to hardware, okay, Bharat is more of a market for appliances. And till now, like when it comes to appliances, so I see it in two different perspectives. One is how many Bharatiya companies are there, okay, who make these appliances. And when it comes to Bharatiya companies, so it is again, like the way we need to say it. For example, Samsung makes phones in India, right? Similarly, Apple is also making phones in India now. It wasn't this way, say, 10 years back, but much has changed in the last 10 or 11 years. So there are a lot of companies who are making appliances in India. But how many of these companies are making appliances for Indians?
Right.
Okay, so the difference being, like when they make these appliances, are they customized for Indians? Are they, designed with the Indian environment or Indian ecosystem, or the Indian buyer in mind, right? So in most of the cases, the answer is no. Like the designs are what was designed, say, for the globe or for the Americans or for Europe. Okay, so till now, we haven't had much space in the ecosystem, even as buyers, though India is I would say, the biggest market for some of these appliances, right? So as that is changing now, and as we are now getting fabs as well in India, so till now, there was no focus on. So you had NXP in Noida, as well as units of other multinationals like ST Micro, Oilcom in Noida, and I think 20 different MNCs in Hyderabad, as well as maybe 50 different MNCs in Bengaluru. So there are a lot of there is a lot of chip design happening in India, but is it happening with Indian buyer in mind? So that's not the case today. And as that changes, so there will be a requirement for example, uh, is there any Indian, if we look at the situation 5 years back, then that situation is changing. Is there any Indian company or any Indian MSME, I would say, who required a chip to be made? Okay, so that was the situation 5 years back. I can certainly say that kind of situation was not there. And now you see that ecosystem getting built from scratch. So you have companies like L&T, and then you have many other companies who are coming up. I'm sorry, like I'm not able to recollect many names there, but Renesas is there. Like Renesas, even though it's a multinational company, but they are setting up in India with, and I heard they have a plan to make the Indian subsidy, kind of independent from the Japanese one.
Okay.
Okay, so now is the time that kind of ecosystem is getting built. And now is the time EDA will also get attention. It hasn't got attention till now because we didn't require it. But now that this ecosystem is getting developed in Bharat, so the EDA ecosystem will also get attention.
Yes. So, what are the biggest challenge which India will face in developing its own EDA stack, technical, financial, or ecosystem related?
See, it is a long run. EDA is a long run software. Okay,
Yeah,
it
your
requires.
voice is not
Okay,
audible.
is it better now? Is it
Yeah.
better? Yeah, yeah. So EDA is a long run project. Okay, it will take time, but the the thing is, even if we develop it, first we need to find customers who will adopt to it, right? Now the world is so used to already established behemoths like Cadence, Synopsys, and Siemens, right? Now it will take some effort and some conviction for for people to adopt, even if we develop new software. Okay, so the challenges are multi-pronged. Okay, and now the manufacturing is just coming. Okay, so that will take some time to mature. So getting people hands-on, getting people getting their hands dirty. But see, the thing is, any complex project starts from somewhere. It starts like this only. You look at the story of ISRO, right? There was a time when they were carrying those rocket heads on the cycle, right? If you if
Yes.
you if you read this book called Wings of Fire by Dr. Abdul Kalam, I mean, you will see those photos that those rocket heads being carried on the cycle. Okay, so please understand, every complex project has a humble beginning only, but it has to start somewhere. Okay,
Yes.
but that is not my concern. See, people will start provided there is a consumption for it. Okay, so as Puniji said, that now companies are starting, L&T is coming, many other companies are coming. So we need to persuade these companies to start adopting whatever open source EDA tools we develop, right? So it's a and once they start consuming it, then the demand will rise and there will be more traction, right? So project is huge. Project is huge. I mean, by no means it is a 1 year or 2 year or 3 year project. It is going to be huge. And now, especially with the AIML coming, that becomes a new foray for how to incorporate AIML into these EDA tools. See, the problem statement is very good. Please mind. I mean, if you just look at EDA tools from engineering perspective, anybody who is trying to engineer some complex problem, EDA is a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
Absolutely no doubt about it. Okay. The only challenge is once we engineer it, how to get it consumed, right? Beyond that, probably again, if maybe Puniji or there are others also in the call, if they want to add. But when you said that what is the scope is huge, but as I said, we need to find consumers for it. We need to find people buying into this idea, right? And then otherwise, as an engineering problem, it's a wonderful problem to solve. Absolutely no issue. People will find it fascinating if they start working on open source EDA, right? The way people you find fascinating to work on Linux. I mean, in Linux is open source. You can do anything what you want, right? That is not a concern, or that is not the issue. The issue is once we engineer it, how to get it consumed. I will
Yeah.
let it now.
Yeah. So, how can startups, academia, and government collaborate to accelerate indigenous EDA development?
So that's where we said. Unfortunately, you know. There is a traction from the so there are two directions, bottoms up and top down. Okay, from the bottoms up, we know there are many people who are trying to work on open source EDA, no issues with that, but we feel there is some some action required on the top now, right? As I said, in the semicon, EDA is not even mentioned as an industry. Not sure why. Not sure why. I mean, and what is making our government I don't know whether to call government or individuals in government to make. I mean, why they are in this complacent state where they think that nothing can happen when it comes to ED. I'm not sure why. The way things are going. I mean, uh, how do you know that you will not be sanctioned? right? See, even if let us say somebody says that sanction may be short-lived, okay, maybe short-lived. You take example of, I will tell you example of this jet engines, or we have, I don't know whether we know, we have agreement with American government. I think I don't know whether it's a government to government agreement or government with G. So G is supposed to give us engines for our our Tejas project, right? And that is getting delayed, and because of that delay, your Tejas project is getting delayed. Okay, now the question is, even if it gets delayed, it compromises your strategic programs, right? I mean, so tomorrow, even if the sanction is for, let's say, 1 year, maybe short term, but it hampers your programs, right? So, I mean, for example, this 50% tariff. Maybe it will go away. Maybe there are already talks in which they are saying maybe the 25% tariff will go away by November. They are saying it. But for this duration, when it started and by the time it hampers your business, right? There is a discontinuity in your business plans, right? So 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 we cannot say we cannot we I mean in this as I said, complex diplomatic world, when everybody is working on their interest, you never know when you will be hurt. So you need to be ready as much as possible.
Yes.
Others, please chip in.
Yeah. So,
All right, just let me add a little bit to that. So I'm sharing my screen. All
yeah.
right. I'll actually share one of my windows. So the yeah, this one. So if you look at this, then this is the cost of chip design by nanometer, and we are soon going to have 28 nanometer fab in Bharat, right? Tata fab. And the cost of chip design over here is $48 million. This is the cost of chip design. It's not fabrication cost. So if you are creating a complex chip, so to say a complex SoC at 28 nanometer node, the cost of the design itself, like when you design the chip, is $48 million. Okay. If you convert it into rupees, this will be around 400 crore rupees. Okay. So this is the major reason why, because there are only two kinds of costs associated with chip design. One cost is human resource cost. That we know because of the large pool of skilled engineers in Bharat. We'll be able to match, kind of manipulate that in our favor, and we'll be able to bring that down. But when it comes to EDA, then uh, I would say half of this cost would be probably EDA. Almost half of $48 million that you need to spend on creating a chip. So that would be going towards EDA. So unless we bring this down, we are not really able to democratize chip fabrication in India, because how many MSME companies, maybe in IoTs or maybe in people who are trying to work in computing, how many of them will be able to actually spend that kind of money on creating a chip, on designing the chip, I would say. Okay, so that is the reason, like when you look at Europe, when you even look at USA, so people want to bring down this cost and people want to democratize chip fabrication in that process. So this is you must be knowing about companies like Fabless, which I think which is now there with a different name. So all that effort is going in this direction, that you want to bring down this cost.
Yes. So, in your opinion, which part of EDA chain, front end design, verification, PD, uh, which should be focused first?
I think all of them. See, the good part about about EDA is that it's not a neither or nor proposition. Okay, so you have this deep software stack, right? You have tools catering to the different aspects of semiconductor design flow. based on people's interest and number of people, and people can choose their area of interest. Let us say if somebody wants to work on back-end design, by all means, I mean, so that's the good part. I mean, let us say, even if we give emphasis to one tool, okay, and make it mature, we can replace one of the proprietary tools from Cadence, Synopsys, or Mentor with our tool, provided the interfaces are same. I mean, if the interfaces are standardized, we can always fit in our tool, right? So there is no question of prioritizing. Everything is important when it comes to
Yeah, but
everything is
these
important.
days
Mm.
I'm saying that for PD there is open source tools coming up like OpenLane. Some of the design flow like from PD verification the chip goes to tape out. In that flow, that the PD tools are becoming better day by day, like OpenLane and Caravelle is there. So, is there any untapped uh, step in design flow which needs better EDA tools like uh, FPGA open source tools or something like that?
I think the answer lies in the same graphics. So if you look at the costing, right? So this blue, dark blue over here is verification, and light blue is physical. Okay, so the amount of resources you need for verification is anything between 50 to 70% of the total chip design cost.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's where the focus needs to be. Like if you can tame that, that's the most important thing. Also, from the perspective that if you are working on FPGAs, then there is already a vendor-driven flow for, and there is open source flow as well for PD for an FPGA, right? So in FPGA domain, you mostly need only the verification and simulation part.
yeah,
And in chip design, again, verification is much more dominant compared to the other parts. So this is one way to look at like where the focus needs to be.
yes. So, can Bharat aim for a hybrid model where we combine uh, global tools with indigenous framework?
That will be the way to go. As we said that the whole EDA simulation fold cannot be replaced by open source, right? Uh, I mean, hybrid is the way to go. I mean, we will use proprietary tools at some places. I mean, we can use open source at one places, but that's the way to go. We cannot say that on day one everything in open source will be available to us. But yeah, I will let other people to speak.
Yeah. So, if we succeed in building our own EDA tools, what impact will it have on Bharat's semiconductor future in the next 10-15 years?
So the biggest, okay, there are a few very pertinent points which will happen. First of all, it will build your human resource in the said area, right? The second thing is, as Puniji said, rise of MSMEs, right? If 450 crore is the cost of designing a chip, just designing a chip, then MSMEs cannot come into. And as we know, MSMEs are the major providers of the employment. Nowadays, major concern in our economy is that jobless growth, right? One of the ways to tackle that jobless growth is the rise of MSMEs, isn't it? Now, in order for MSMEs to grow, we need to curtail the cost. Yeah, Puniji, please go ahead. Make your point.
Okay, so I would actually like to expand this discussion a little bit. So at this point, like we were talking about the hybrid model, right? So at this point, Government of India through PLI and DLI schemes, they are subsidizing EDA tool availability. But in the process, what's happening is it is somewhat reducing. or I would say uh, like the local EDA space where people want to create local tools. Okay, so that space is getting uh, narrow because the tools to the actual designers are being made available through subsidy. Okay, now there are two aspects to it. One is the local EDA companies, they are not getting as much attention because the tools are being available. The I would say the commercial tools or I mean, to put it straight, the EDA 3 tools. When we say EDA 3, that means Cadence, Synopsys, and Siemens. These tools are being made available at a subsidized cost, right? So, had this subsidy not been there, that would have given more space to the local EDA ecosystem. So, that is one thing. The second thing is how long this PLI and DLI would be there. Like these kind of schemes are usually not long-term schemes. So these schemes may be there for 5 years or 10 years. What after that?
Yeah.
So these schemes are actually making the startups, right? It's making the startups getting hooked to the EDA tools from these three companies. So when the schemes are taken back, so what will happen at that time? Like the startups which may grow a little bit by that time, will they still afford to pay for the EDA tools?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the concerns which we need to account for. And this is why like we are meeting today, like we need to we need to create more awareness about importance of EDA and if creating an ecosystem in the so when Ashwini Vaishnavji, for example, when he says that all the universities are being uh, given access to the EDA tools, so he's talking about the EDA 3 tools, right? On the other hand, we need to have universities, the academia, and some startups work in a direction for Atmanirbharta or self-reliance, even for EDA.
Yeah.
So that thing is, not getting the kind of focus it should.
Yes. So I'm sharing my screen. So last time when I posted the advertisement for this podcast, so someone commented this. So would you like to
I
present?
read that. I read that actually. I wanted to respond to that. So if you look at that comment, right, he is saying he's under the assumption that we will never be sanctioned. That was his first statement, right? What he says, he Anushka Tripathi, export tools is not a concern as these are typically applied to only few countries like China, Cuba, Iran, etc. Now, that assumption itself is highly misplaced.
Yeah.
Forget about countries like Forget about countries like China. I don't know whether you heard latest Trump statement when he said that he bought a Tesla recently and now he's willing to sell it for $60. I don't know whether he's saying all sort of words. I don't know. Have you heard that statement? See, again, I am not saying that, but at the end of the day, he's the president of US, right?
Yeah.
Uh, doesn't matter what we feel about him, but he's the president of US. Whatever decision he takes, we gets impacted, right? Now, with this 1 lakh rupees visa fee for H1, right? This 50% tariff. So I don't know this assumption which he's making that we will never be sanctioned on what basis is making assumption? So we never expected that we will be put under this 50% tariff, right? Did anybody of us expect that we'll be put under this 50% tariff? The
Right.
kind of strategic, so-called quote unquote strategic relationship India and US had. According to US diplomacy, they call the most defining relationship in 21st century. With all those words, did we ever expect that a tariff of 50% will ever be levied on us? It got levied, right?
Yes.
Again, I am saying, how we are under the assumption that we will not be put under sanction list for Russian oils, let us say,
Right.
right? We can be put, anything can happen. See, what we are trying to say that what this gentleman seems to be suggesting. See, as we said, we are talking about hybrid model only, right? We are talking about hybrid, but in that process, we are trying to make sure that we are self-reliant. See, please understand a very brutal truth. No country on this earth is self-reliant in every aspect of technology, right? No country on this earth. So we need cooperation. We need strategic alliance. We need it. But in that process, we need to become self-reliant as much as we can. As much as we can. I'm not saying we can become 100%, but as much as we can. Go ahead, Pariji. You want to say something?
So the way I see it, like sanctions are a shade of gray. Okay. So when we talk about sanctions, when we look at China, for example, so recently in on 15th May or something like that, actually in May, that's all I remember. For a day, Trump announced that China, the whole of China, is under sanctions and they will not be getting EDA tools. Okay, so after a day, he resigned it, and like basically China bargained hard with USA, and China basically came back and said they won't make rare earth available to USA, and they had a bargain. First of all, India doesn't have any kind of bargaining chip when it comes to USA. Like we don't have the kind of access to rare earth that China has. Secondly, there are a lot of companies in China which are already under sanctions. Like Huawei is there, Xiaomi is there. All these companies are under sanctions.
Yes.
Okay, so sanctions are not going to be black and white. It may be there may be a case where the whole of India is put under sanctions, but I see that possibility. We can't discount that possibility. But what is much more likely is there could be institutes in India which would be put under sanctions, and that's already the case in like for example, we know about Naira, right, which is a petroleum company. So it's already under sanctions.
Yeah.
Okay, so Microsoft withdrew for a day though. They withdrew any like Office 365 tooling to Naira because it's under sanctions.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had to take it back because Naira had already paid to Microsoft. But say Naira as a MSME, so say in next 5 years, if they want to make a chip, they will not get access to EDA tools.
Yeah.
And the sanctions are usually infective. So anyone working on a chip which has Naira as a customer will not get access to EDA tools.
Right.
So in that way, sanctions are already there.
Right.
So we need not even talk about possibility of sanctions being there. So they are already there to some extent. What the scope of sanctions, how it unfolds, we need to see. But what we already know is Bharat as a nation needs GPUs, for example, right? And there are companies in Bharat who are trying to make GPUs.
Yes.
So I see a possibility in future where they could be put on sanctions because America is going to look at them as competition.
Right.
Okay, because America is already talking about rationing GPUs and putting certain institutes or certain countries on sanctions as far as GPUs are concerned. They're saying we'll make GPUs available according to our liking rather than as an open market.
Yes.
Okay, so now if we are making GPUs in Bharat, so the natural consequence of American policy, where they want to restrict certain institutes from having access to GPUs, natural consequence of that policy is going to be they are going to put sanctions on companies who are trying to make GPUs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a valid possibility that I see.
Yeah.
So looking at the whole scenario, when you work from work in a MNC, your perspective is very different from how you look at the whole scenario when you are not working for an MNC, but you are working for a made in India chip.
Yeah. So, what would be your message to young engineer and researchers who want to contribute to Bharat's EDA ecosystem?
Well,
Am I
um,
audible?
yeah, 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 you're audible.
Yeah.
See, see, when it comes to learning, okay,
Your
follow your
voices
heart.
have
Follow your,
again decreased.
is it okay? Is it
Yeah,
better?
yeah.
Yeah. See, when it comes to learning, follow your passion. Okay. Now, you know, in that process, see, when we develop competencies, okay, then we have something to show to the world, right? Uh, that's I will keep it there. Follow your passion when it comes to learning. Whether you have market currently may not be. Is there a possibility? Great one because of the reasons which Puniji just spoke about, isn't it? Puniji, go ahead.
No, I don't have anything to add here. Um, I mean, like I think you said it. That's my view as well. Uh, so it's not like the context is not very clear to me. Anusha ji, if you can put the question again, I'll probably be able to expand a little bit.
So, so I am asking, what would be your message to young engineers and researchers who want to contribute to Bharat's EDA ecosystem?
Okay, so my message would be, first of all, we need to like as the country's the nation's policy now is, we need to look in the direction of open source. Okay, so the first thing is to adopt open source as users. Okay, so
Yes.
we can become developers only after we become users.
Right.
So that's somewhere I would actually want some kind of policy correction as far as the nation's policies are, where the EDA3 tools or commercial tools are being made available in the country on on a subsidy. Like when we say that EDA tools are being made available to 200 or maybe 900 universities. Okay, so the focus should be also on open source. I'm not saying that we don't need skilled engineers who know how to use the commercial EDA tools, but we also need skilled engineers who, take a dip into the open source world and they become users of the open source EDA tools.
Yes.
Okay, which is again something which will require some intervention or some effort at community level. It's not very straightforward to just start using these tools yourself. So there should be some effort from, um, I would say, Indian industry where we can um, try to arrange training programs for using these EDA tools. I know some of the training companies, for example, Kunal Ghosh is doing a good job. So he is doing a lot of trainings on open source tools.
Yes.
Okay. That kind of effort, uh, I would say, should also come from the mainstream academia, like from the university level, like uh, universities officially adopting those tools. And that will be the first step. The next step would be to start going into the source code of the EDA tools and start figuring out where the gaps are and how we can fill those gaps using our, uh, the strength of academia in Bharat. So using the talent that is available.
Yes.
So as far as EDA is concerned, I see not many universities working on open source. Though open source tooling is quite a bit, it has gained maturity in the last few years. But I don't see like other domains, for example, when it comes to artificial intelligence or when it comes to data analytics. So Bharat or engineers from India, they are contributing a lot to open source as well. Like India being one of the largest contributors to projects on GitHub. But when it comes to open source EDA, I see a lot of vacuum as far as India is concerned. So we need to uh, pitch in and we need to make it possible for engineers to start or for students to start working in that direction.
Yes. But uh, universities are not focusing on open source. One of the reason is that government through chip and center is promoting only commercial tools. So government need to do a push for that. Then only students
Yes.
and universities will go for that. I
Yes,
think.
that's what I said. That's what I said. There is a bottom of traction, but there needs to be better traction tops down. That's what I said in one of my earlier statements, right? Government need to push. Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say like the policy correction needs to be at the subsidy level. Like if you are subsidizing one industry, then obviously it will have impact on some other industry which will get strangulated. So if you are subsidizing commercial tools here, then it's affecting the open source part. So it's not getting as much attention as it should.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel there needs to be some policy intervention.
Right. So anyone have questions? So, Abhay Kulkarni, would you like to ask something? Yeah. So,
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so it may be a little naive question, plus, but please bear with me. So what I want to know is, using open source softwares would be, I mean, it will be we will be utilizing to do the designs, right? But when it comes to building the EDA tools, there would be some skill sets required as a prerequisite for the students to know. So could you put some light on that so that students can think about building the tools so they can get some skill sets, learn things, and then try to build something on their own.
like, um,
I'm not sure if the answer question is right.
I would like to add to this. Like Puriji said earlier, if you want to develop EDA tool, you will need to work with that first. So, students, we need to promote open source tools. Then only students will get to know how it works, and then only they will get to know how to develop that. So I have been working with one Litex open source tool. So while working with that, I have explored it directories, which gave me an idea like how it was made. So, and I know also how to contribute to that, how to improve that tool further. So using the tool is the first thing if you want to
No,
develop
but
it.
initially, I would like to add, it also depends on your interest area in the semiconductor design flow, right? Let us say somebody from core electronics who is interested in the back end things, he might select his own tool to work on, right? So I think for some of the tools, correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong there, but I think for some of the tools, some domain knowledge is essential, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would actually break up the problem or the question into the answer to the question into three parts. So first is being a user of open source tools, which is necessary. Okay. So the second stage is where you start writing scripts, and that's where Python and Tickle come into picture. Okay, so there you don't need to have any background into algorithms and all. So when you start using these scripts, which is also important for automation. Okay, So when you use Python or Tickle to automate some of the flows, so that is stage one of tool development in EDA world. So there, mostly you will be having a requirement of being good at Python or good at Tickle, in addition to having the domain knowledge, but only as far as this domain knowledge would mostly be as a user of the tool. Okay, so then is the stage three where you are trying to make your hands dirty with the source code of the tool. There you need to be good at C, C++, and as Atulji pointed out, you need to be good at algorithms. So, for example, if you are working in the backend, then you will need to be good at graph algorithms and routing algorithms, which are required for placement routes as well as for anything back.
Yes.
So, these are the two breakups of the three stages, I would say, of trying to work towards open source EDA. First, as a user. Second stage is also as a user, but we are trying to automate using Python or SQL as a scripting language. And third is when we are trying to make the tool better. Uh,
Your voice is coming, becoming
okay.
slow.
All right. So I don't know why that would be, because the microphone is right in front of me. Is it better now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So okay, it's somehow the volume is automatically dropping. I don't know why it's happening. Anyway, so basically that's what I wanted
So
to say
the
that.
last part was inaudible. Yeah.
Okay. So when you work on open source EDA, so the three stages are: one is as a user, second is when you try to automate the flow using Python or Tickle scripts, which is again as a user. But you are, when you do that, you are into, I would say, semi EDA, when you are trying to automate the flow. And third stage is when you want to really look into the code of the EDA tool. And when it comes to backend, that would entail knowing algorithms, backend, place and route algorithms, a lot of graph algorithms, for example, and working using those algorithms, you are trying to solve place and route problems. Okay. Similarly, when it comes to front end, then also if you are working in verification or simulation field, then also for EDA tooling, you will need to do it in C or C++ or a similar language. Like, it can't be done in Python.
Right.
Okay, so Python is only for automation.
Yeah.
For tooling, you need C, C++ or a similar language.
Right. Yes. So it was a very insightful session.
So that was
Yeah.
insightful. Yeah.
So let us let us explore ways how we can get the government into promoting open source more and more. So we will surely find out more ways for that. So we would like let us end the meeting for today, and let us keep exploring ways of developing India's own EDA tools. So thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for hosting us.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.